What a
Hey everybody,
We're here.
Hello.
We're back.
we are back.
Life is fucking crazy.
I did catch up on uploads. For people who follow not live. I did catch up on uploads on like Spotify and whatnot. So we
Yeah.
should be fairly current. We couldn't record last week because we were at not all of us, but basically not Sophia. Um, the American folk were down in Maryland at a Sacred Space conference.
Hell yeah.
So
That was
Ooh,
that's a weird.
that was one hell of an experience.
I definitely
Yeah.
want to hear how that went.
Yeah, you want
Yeah,
to
I'm
start
excited
off?
to tell you all about that. On an emotional level, well, firstly I want to say also like big shout out to my therapist because she let me have like basically an entire session of me just like telling her this beautiful story, the most like one of the most spiritual experiences I've ever had at this place. And I was just like telling her this whole story and she was totally open-minded and it was just really cool to talk to her about everything. But you were like first things first, I kept saying to Jay and everybody, I was like, I said I haven't felt this safe and secure since the election. The and just like the way that they worded the event, like you could feel the space held together by this massive ward, which was the first thing. The quality of the course material, we were all in multiple classes all weekend long. It was like the quality of the material, the speakers, like everything was exactly as you would want it to be. And it was nice, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but it was nice being with other intermediate to advanced practitioners. We all like there was no explanation needed on certain things that, you know, when you're talking to someone who's new to this stuff, you know, they need you to kind of expand upon certain things. But at this conference, it wasn't really necessary. Everyone there knew, you know, what each other was talking about.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Scott.
Mhm.
Because I remember we were kind of talking about like how do you differentiate between like intermediate, advanced, right? And I'm like, well, I don't really know that exactly. Like, I'm not sure where the nuances are between intermediate and advanced.
Yeah,
But I
we
know
talked
for
about
all
that.
of us in our group, we were all like, we can fairly say we're in the intermediate category. And so then it got me to thinking, I was like, well, how do you differentiate between beginner and intermediate? You know, like what is sort of like the thresholds of that? Because it's like we're not trying to have a point system in the occult, in magical studies, and
Right.
in witchcraft. Like we're not trying to have that. If you want degrees, there are plenty of initiatory traditions that do all that fun stuff, and that's great. But like in the overall community, we're not trying to be like I'm a level 50 wizard and you're not, haha. You know, like that's not what we're doing. But there
Right.
is a good point because it's like if you're in a presentation, you know, and if someone's like going through, I don't know, like this is how I, you know, do my ritual of this and that, and you know, well, first, you know, I cleanse my space and then I cast a circle, and then like if you are a type of person, if you're like, if someone says like cleanse your space and cast a circle, if you have no idea what exactly that is, then I would say you fall into the beginner category. So like that was kind of like the sort of threshold that we had set up. It's like
Yeah.
there's just certain things that you just kind of know. You
Another
know.
another nuance too that I think is important to add to that I didn't really in our conversations, but I think something I find is intermediate and advanced is our approach to interacting with spirits. A lot of beginners, when they're in a situation and they're scared of something or something's making them nervous,
Mm-hmm.
they immediately want to banish.
Mm.
They kind of want to attack. I think for the intermediate and advanced practitioner, we're often a little bit more hesitant to go there. We're a little bit more interested in being like, hey, what's happening inside of me that's making me react this way? Is there actually a threat in this in my that I'm confronting right now, or is this some kind of interpretation or perception of the spirit itself, right? Is it or is it a way of communication, etc.? So I think that's another simple but pretty important tell. But again, the whole beginner, advanced, intermediate, whatever is largely irrelevant. But
Right. Yeah.
there is a difference, and when I say, like, by the way, when I say it's nice to be around, people of whatever, I don't mean it as in it's not nice to be around beginners. It's just
You find
a little
yourself
less.
around beginners more often, and you're around intermediate, advanced people less often. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah,
And you just have a different type of conversation, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yes, the conversation has to go in a certain way, because even like certain concepts. We talked about this in my animism course with BJ Swain. Um, we talked about the idea of like spirits moving in certain spaces to like take up, like I know in chaos magic, it's often like we the conversation, and this is very simplistic, so it's very one-on-one, but the idea of like created spirits or servitors or
Hmm.
egregores. But in the animist perspective, there's also the and by the way, these two things can be true at the same time, not one or the other. In the animist perspective, a spirit moves in, or a disembodied consciousness moves in and is like, hey, I fit some of this stuff. I'll just wear the costume, and you can work with me that way, right?
Mm.
And I'll take on that name, etc. And we were talking about sort of the nature of things in that way. We were, um,
I really want to talk about mask theory right now, but please continue. I'll wait.
and I always really liked the idea of spirits moving in and sort of being like, hey, I'll take on this costume. I have some of these attributes already. But I think when you start talking about the nature of gods and spirits, and you start talking about the unconscious mind, and you start going there, it gets a little complex. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
starts to get a little much, I think, for someone first coming into this stuff. And I think that's fine. You know what I mean? I think it's fine to have a very stripped down practice. I think it's just as powerful. I know I did some incredible work as a beginner. You know what I mean? Um, I don't think it has to be complicated, but it's just it's in the nature of a practitioner to want to expand our knowledge, right?
I even think we
May I
can
ask
kind of.
permission for a short tangent?
Yeah,
Yeah, go
please,
for
please,
it.
please. That's what I was wrapping up for.
Um, so it'll be really quick. What I really like about mask theory, which is I'm not sure who came up with it, but I read from Alice E. Rose, a friend of mine. Essentially, where it states is humans do this thing all the time where we put a mask on an archetype to interact with it, right? My favorite example of this is lightning. Everywhere you go in the world, they have some type of deified association with lightning, right?
Mm-hmm.
In like Europe, you have like Thor. In North America, you have like Thunderbirds and Thunder Beings, and like different parts of the world, it might be like a dragon, or like Zeus riding a chariot and throwing lightning bolts, or like pretty much wherever you go, they have storm gods, like Tlaloc in South America, right? So like it's a universal archetype because it's something that everybody in humanity has to deal with. And none of these masks of the thunder archetype are any less real than any of the others. Because, like, I've seen people invoke Thor and get crazy storms, and I've heard plenty about people working with Tlaloc to draw in storms, right? And pretty much it seems that whoever works with that mask of the thunder archetype gets it to work. So the really cool theory that this is getting to is that when somebody creates an egregore, it's not that they're crafting a spirit, it's that they're deliberately crafting a mask of an archetype and tying in the associations and letting what naturally is there fill the space, just like humans have been doing since the dawn of time.
I love that. I love seeing where those traditions meet. I like knowing that it's a broader conversation that practitioners are having. Because even even BJ was like he's like that, those things can happen, but this also happens, and essentially talking about this mask theory, but through talking about animism, of course. But yeah, but that wasn't the only thing. I experienced, well, in a room full of people. I really want to tell this story. A
Please.
bit of a ghost, a room full of people experienced the same paranormal phenomenon. It was our last day, and I took a class by the author Mortalis. They are amazing. They are an Alexandrian, third degree Alexandrian high priestess, and they did a course on banishment and exorcism when diplomacy fails. And we discussed how most spirits that you meet, the likelihood that they're truly evil is very slim. Not that they don't exist, but oftentimes things are territorial, or they're scared, or they're just trying to sort of be like, I don't know you, what the hell are you doing, so really it's about us communicating better with the spirits on and of the land, and in our spaces. But what they did, which I was really really excited for, and I didn't know this was going to happen. They had brought, I believe it was like 4 or 5. I think it was 4 spirit traps that they had put genuine wicked spirits into, and they erected a circle, and they released the spirits into the room. Now, I want it duly noted that the spirits had other leashes, if you will. They were all on leashes other than just their vessel. They could not go far from Mortalis. Mortalis did something that, funny enough, they kind of were like, I know, don't ever do that. What they did was a certain kind of, they bound the spirits to themselves, essentially, not just to their container, so that way the spirits wouldn't go far. But of course it limits what Mortalis can do with them, so it's not as if Mortalis can put them to work for anything. But I digress. The entire room so it was really interesting. So Mortalis did this sort of thing where they kept the room talking as they released these spirits. It was very inconspicuous, very like no one was really paying attention. Everyone was just really engaged in mutual conversation and answering questions. And as we're all talking, all of a sudden the environment in the room began to change, and the room became hotter. It became more stuffy. And all of a sudden, this energy, this sort of throbbing, like whoom, 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 like kind of energy started like just diffusing into the room, and you could start seeing all of us getting. You can call it uncomfortable. I think that's a fine word to use. And you could tell that everyone in the room was feeling it. And Mortalis was watching all of us, and they're like, they ask us, "You feel that now, right?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And what they did was they had 4 people come up to collect the spirits from the room and bring them back to their vessel. And of course, the spirits were trying to run from the circle, so they were at the edges of the room. And me and another practitioner, we were seated in the back right-hand corner of the room, and we both started having the exact same symptoms. Our faces started to get real flush. We started to, it almost, my lips started to buzz. I was saying to my classmate, I was like, it feels like I'm having an allergic reaction, even though I knew that I wasn't. And it was funny because we both were having the exact same symptoms. And the one spirit that had moved behind us, I forget his name, but you could look him up. Mortalis did all the research. He was an actual killer. He actually killed people. Mortalis had to help put him into a jar. The volunteer. Now, keeping in mind, I felt the spirit. I didn't know where it was. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know where it was in the room. But the volunteer walked up right behind me, literally in the back right corner, collected the spirit, and put it back into its jar. All the while, too, the scent of the room changed as well. There was suddenly someone was wearing this beautiful earthy perfume, but suddenly it became overpowered with this this apported smell of a moldy, wet basement. And I'm sure we all kind of know that smell.
Like Mullen almost.
Yeah, and it was so bizarre because the atmosphere, as I said, was growing heavy as these 4 genuinely dark spirits were released into the room. But as the volunteers were putting them back into their vessel, the room was getting lighter and lighter and lighter until the final spirit was back into the room, back into its vessel, and Mortalis kind of closed the circle, and all of a sudden the room was just back to its normal self. And it was incredible to see magic so practically used in a room full of people who were having this shared extra normal experience. It was something that, like, I mean, I don't really need magic to be proved, but I must admit I was in awe. To see, like, to have a shared psychic experience with a room full of people. That's not something you get to experience often, at least I don't. And it was beautiful. I mean, I know that, like, I totally had the spirit of a killer behind me, but like I'm not scared of ghosts or spirits of any kind. They don't really particularly make me
Yeah, fuck them.
But like
Afraid of no
if
ghosts.
he definitely, the only reason he didn't put up a fight was because, he was leashed by a particularly powerful necromancer. Mortalis wrote a book on necromancy, if anyone's interested, called The Bones Fall in a Spiral. It's a really decent book on necromancy.
Y'all should tag Convocation in this episode because I feel like they would almost love having this as like snippets they could use to advertise for themselves.
Oh, that'd be a good
It's
idea.
it's free real estate.
You mean Sacred Space?
Yeah, sacred space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I know, because Convocation's another one. I think they're up in
Oh, I just
Detroit.
must have been mixing them up because I've heard it before, right?
Yeah.
Then there's
But it's
another
funny because
conference called
it was the
Between the
weekend before,
Worlds.
which is funny. It was the weekend before Sacred Space.
Really? I thought there, and then there
He-
was also another one that I saw was Paganicon. I don't know how you would pronounce it. It's like
yeah, I
Pagan
always call it
Con.
Pagan Con. I just call it
Yeah,
Pagan Con because I'm like,
yeah. That's
I
too
gotta
much.
say, I'm really interested as to how I would react in that situation because, like, it is truly rare to run into actual hardcore evil things, but I don't know why it has to do with my type of work, but I fucking do consistently, like, pure fucking evil things. And like I have a very strange reaction that I've developed where, like, I almost kind of stare them down and go into a similar mode of like, if you're going to be a monster, I'll be a monster too to kill you, sort of thing, you know? And I'm curious as to how I would have felt being in the room in that situation, if that mechanism would have triggered or if I would have felt the exact same as y'all, because I can't really say, you know?
It was interesting because the whole time,
I
I think one of
wasn't
the things
here
that
for that panel. Just as Scott was the only one that was present.
yeah, we took the panel after that, the Alpine Witchery panel, which was also really good. I learned a lot of history. Um, but I will say I would be curious too, because the one thing that was really interesting about that too was that the whole time you knew that the leash that these spirits were on could be felt. If you're good at if you were a sensitive or a medium or a seer or a psychic, whatever, that who's really good at picking up on magic specifically, and you can sense the like if you could read into a spell, which is which is really cool if you can, by the way. You could feel the leash, like like you could tell the whole time that that Mortalis had control over the entire situation. At no point in time were any of these spirits going to scratch you or burn you or push you or choke you. They weren't going to possess you or oppress you. I think me and my classmate were having the shared psychic experience because we were reading the same spirit. And it was close to us. It was on top of us. But I don't think it was attacking me. I didn't feel attacked. But I am curious because, like I said, what I'm trying to get at is Mortalis' control over these spirits was so pronounced in the environment. And then on top of that, like sitting next to me was he's a practitioner as well. Darian was in his he was another presenter. He did a battle magic presentation teaching essentially teaching you how to use magic for like cloaking and things like that, and also like diversion, and it was really interesting. So essentially like illusion magic, which I'm fascinated by. And he was there, and it was funny because he was like he was helping people, probably me included. He was helping people see the spirits a little bit better. You could feel him moving energy around, and it was funny because Mortalis was like, "I see you. I know what you did," and they were laughing. It was funny. And he was really nice. He was a nice guy. But that situation was so spiritual for me. I know it's such a weird thing, bonding over evil spirits, but a
It's a
shared
very
psychic
you
experience.
thing. It's very on brand for you.
It is very on brand. Necromancy and being like, this is such a spiritual experience. But it was cool. It like in the most deepest sense possible. But no, I'd be curious if we had to see in a situation like that. I've never seen someone with so much control of the human dead in that particular way. I've been lucky because my relationships with human dead have always been like, I'm gonna respect you and you're gonna respect me. But it's never been like,
About
hey,
dominion
where
or
are you trying to
control.
go? You know what I mean? Get back here.
Yeah.
Pull their leash and they come back.
Yeah.
That's the kind of control
Yeah.
that Alice had.
I'm completely respectful of human dead, but I have this tolerate no evil and destroy it and do not falter in the face of it mentality.
Yeah, no, I mean, Mortalis definitely shared that because Mortalis brought a and I'm sure you'll understand this particular spiritual weapon. They brought an iron wand, but a pointed iron wand, and they were like, "Don't worry, I also have this," and they kind of did the stabby motion, which I was like, "Hell yeah, stab evil ghosts," which is a thing, which is totally a thing. I'm actually looking at my my spirit spike. Spirit spikes can be used to help take ghosts off of you, but they can also be helpful in fighting off harmful spirits, and mine is right. I'm looking right at it on my table. Yep. So 100%. I think I do agree. As far as not respecting like truly hostile spirits, but um, yeah. Jay, please. I talked about that experience enough. Go ahead. I want to hear more from your perspective of everything, because you had some really profound experiences, maybe just a little different, but still equally as profound.
Um, yeah, like what was interesting for me, I went to well, first I did want to direct my attention to the chat here. We do have Ashka and Sage in the chat, and I just wanted to give you a shout out and thank you for hanging out with
Hi.
us today, especially on short notice.
Welcome.
I was kind of like, oh yeah, we're recording today. Woo! I actually almost forgot that we were. Well, not that I forgot. I just lost track of time because I was playing. Actually, I was playing Jedi Survivor, and I was enjoying. The game is like a movie. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, back to Sacred Space. I went to so like for my spirituality. I don't know if I've said this. I'm really following this like heathen thing, right? So I think I've settled on that in terms of my spiritual sort of worldview, right? So I went to a lot of panels that were available for that. So anything that kind of looked heathen, I was like, all right, let me go check that out. So one of the first things I went to was it was like it's about like Odin and like runes and like making spells out of runes and stuff like that. That was run by J.R. Mascaro. Hope I'm saying that name right.
You
Um
probably are.
yeah, so that was a good one. That was like one of the first ones like the next morning. I forget what we even did the night that we got there. It was a little bit of a blur that night. We were really tired. Um
Mm. I
and
went to
then
the installing the effigy.
right, yeah, that's the one you went
Mhm.
to. I can't remember what I did that night. But I did attend a save ritual, which is essentially Nordic shamanism, I suppose you could say, like a Nordic shamanic sort of thing. It's like with all of our pagan stuff, it's all reconstructed based off of knowledge that we have and whatnot. But it was very interesting to I guess it was interesting to watch how uh people can access the other side in different ways, kind of thing. Um, it was wild though because it for the amount of like it was a gigantic ritual. Like it took up a whole like ballroom type size room in the hotel, which kind of blew my mind. A lot of it was mostly people just asking, see or do you see my relative, loved one, on the other side kind of thing, and that's usually what most people ask. Yeah, it was interesting to watch, but what I really thought was cool is they didn't just have one seer, like, because it was a 45-minute ritual, so they didn't just have one person sitting there for 45 minutes, like, tapped into the other side, because that's like a lot, it's
Mhm.
a lot to be tapped in for that long. So, they had like I think it was like three or four people that they like rotated out, which I thought was considerate because you know, sometimes we don't have that luxury, like in our smaller circles, like for our psychics and mediums, sometimes it's only just like the one person that like is really good at it, looking at you, Scott, like, hey Scott, what are you sensing? Hey Scott, what are you you know um so I thought that was cool that they had enough people trained, I guess, in that sort of practice to kind of do that, which I thought was neat. And then the ones that I got the most out of were the
Hell yeah.
community building ones. And I always laugh because like I never thought that like organizing events and community shit would be my thing, right? Like I really never thought that because I was always like not the school spirit kid. I didn't give a fuck about homecoming, like I didn't care about that kind of stuff. Like But I think what it is like I found my people now. Like I like this weird pagan community. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of people that I like. You know what I mean? We think a lot of the same things. We vibe. So I guess it's because I found where I'm supposed to be community wise, and I'm like, oh, I this could be like way cooler, way better, way more structured in some ways. But I learned a lot about. I realized we do have some work to do with Pagan Pride in terms of like putting more accessibility information on our website. That's something that we need to do. Because like people in Philly know that the park is, pretty much ADA compliant. It's pretty flat, has flat walkways and get up on the corners with wheelchairs and stuff, but um we should make that more known on the website, which I thought was kind of a good point.
Mm-hmm.
But there were other things just it was really interesting to be in a room full of other people with the same passion. So Irene Glass, who was the one running the panel. No, it wasn't the panel. It was her workshop, and then there was a panel kind of about similar things. Um, but what I took away the most from it is like there is really no explanation for why people like there's good leaders and there's bad leaders, right? So like good leaders listen to their people, they take stock of what's happening. And on one of the panels, actually, JR Mascara was actually on one of the panels. And what he was saying is like, as a leader, it's not that you have to do everything yourself, but you do have to know how to do everything. And I totally get that because I realize where I'm at now is I need to start training people to do things. It's like it kind of falls into that delegation sort of category. Um but also like training the next generation. Like we need to start attracting younger people to our organizations so we can pass on this knowledge.
Yep.
Um and it can be done, it will be done. Um
It's already starting to get done.
yeah. So that's a lot of what I took from it is I was feeling a little beat down. I was feeling like, "Oh my god, am I doing too much? Am I doing enough? Am I you know, what the fuck am I doing?" I was feeling very lost before going to Sacred Space, and it was really nice to just be in this kind of like Scott was saying, like to be in this bubble for like 3 to 4 days where it's just you and other like-minded people and you're all there for the same reason because you want to learn stuff. You want like this is the shit that you actually care about, I don't care about
Mm-hmm.
my fucking job, like fuck that,
Yep.
um but I want to go back. I wish I could live like that all the time. You know what I mean? Like live in that sort
It
of
was magic
safety
school.
net.
That's why.
Yeah.
It was magic school. It was magic college,
Yeah.
and that's why it was magic college. We got to live in magic college for 4 days. Or almost 4 days, whatever.
Mm.
And
Well, why not recreate that outside of it more often and
I know.
commit to going back to it? Because, like, realistically, that's what I've been trying to do with my psionics class.
Mm.
It's really hard to write an entire curriculum based on the totality of your knowledge for witchcraft. But holy shit, if it's not helpful for me and the people who are doing it too, right? And like, y'all are welcome to join that at any point too, if you're ever interested. We would absolutely benefit from you being there, but I also know that like time constraints on Sundays can suck because we're all busy people and we have a certain amount of energy, and it's right after the podcast.
Yeah, that's kind of been something. So there is a group that exists. It's not a secret anymore. It's called Pagan Solidarity, okay? It's a group and it's a bunch of different pagan leaders of different organizations, groups, kindreds, covens, what have you, have all kind of been on Zoom calls together trying to figure out, hey, how the fuck do we survive all this fuckery going on in the country right now? Um But of course, me, like, I got roped into it just because, like, through like the Pagan Pride email, right? So, hey, I get on this email chain. I'm on the groups and stuff, but I'm kind of wondering if maybe I've taken on too much. That's something that it's kind of like been bouncing around in my head. I'm really curious if I've taken on too much with jumping into this group, because like I kind of feel like I want to do so much more with our Discord and our group and our community, and I just don't know how to tie it all together with, like, I don't know how do we activate our community on a national scale, on an international scale, right? Like, how do you bring all of the pagan witch occult people together under one sort of thing?
Do we need to get everybody? But I understand what you're saying. We should get everybody who wants to, because there is a good amount of
Right.
people who do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, not everyone wants to go out and march in a protest. I get that. Not everyone
Yeah.
wants to do that. But for those
You
that
know,
do,
here's a question. There's I assume there's pagan prides elsewhere, right?
yeah, they're all over the place.
What about forming like a national pagan pride organization
There
that branches
is.
into an international organization?
So there is a National Pagan Pride organization, but it's kind of not as structured as it used to be. They're kind of in a, I hate to say transition, but they're in a transitionary period.
It's a very polite.
The issue is a lot of our pagan communities are really fragmented, and even organizations that were once kind of organized are more fragmented now. It kind of feels like we have so much work. It's like we have so much work to do within our communities, and it's like I hope that we can all come together under one sort of unified vision, because we can't be arguing amongst ourselves. It's just really, it's not the time for it.
I have an
Really not.
idea. Why don't we network like we used to? Remember when we were just starting out? Maybe not just starting out, but when we were like interviewing other people and we had like Ivo Dominguez in and we were like talking with a whole bunch of other witches and wanting to do like interviews with them and pull them in. Why don't we do that again? I mean, like we've been going for so long. I feel like we're fairly established in the
Yeah.
witch podcast community. We're not like the biggest numbers. We're not down at the crossroads, but we're not nobody at this point, you know? And I
Yeah.
think it would be cool to just encourage more networking between occultists in general and witches in general, and to try and foster that community building attitude in other podcasters and really start branching out and webbing out to everybody else. Because like a rising tide lifts all ships, right? And we're all on the same tide, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do want to branch back out into doing interviews with people and stuff. Life just got really bizarre, really. I don't know, I have this issue, is like there's so much that I want to do, and I feel like I can't focus on the one thing and grow it. So like we have the podcast, right? But like the podcast isn't financially self-sustaining. So it's still kind of a hobby, right? So it's still being funded off of, like what I make from my day job. And so like I don't know, it's just like I want to grow it into something else. But then I have the shop, and then I have Philly Pagan Pride and Pagan Solidarity. Like I just don't know if like I'm doing too much, and I don't know how to focus on the thing that needs to grow, but they're all so interrelated. And that's
I
where I'm
think this is
like,
where team building and delegation comes in, like you were talking about before. Like,
yeah,
if you're doing leadership as you've been doing it, you typically take on the brunt of stuff and do it yourself. But if you
yeah,
delegate a lot of the things to other people who are extremely specialized in those tasks, not only does it make your life easier, but it allows you to shine at what you're good at doing, which is community organizing and bringing people together. And it allows them to shine at what they're good at, which brings a level of synergy and cohesion that you just can't get without that kind of cooperation. And that's why like learning to delegate is so important, because it's not just about like getting people to help you, it's about getting people with really unique skill sets to come in and better the picture than it ever could have been without them, you know? Like a good team is so much better than any solo individual working act when they're put together correctly.
Yes. That was the other thing in the leadership panel. That was a good point that was made, is that the group or organization, whatever, that you're leading will eventually kind of adopt a little bit of your person, like it'll adopt your personality characteristics, because it's like your personality kind of drives the thing you're doing. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because like this is organized chaos, the way we do this podcast. It's kind of how my brain is, you know, like you guys see when I edit up, like when I edit episodes, like I'm not consistent. You're not getting an episode every week. You may get a recording, a live episode every week.
I'll tell y'all this: if
you get
the
podcast
if the podcast was financially solvent enough to where Jay didn't have to work a job, you bet your ass you'd be getting a podcast every week, edited at a much more frequent rate. But that's the big problem. That's the rub, right? Not saying you should financially support us, like everybody's at where they're at, but like I would like to see the podcast grow simply through like reaching out and working with other people. And like, fuck, I don't even care if we do like a mid-reel advertisement section just to get a little bit of like funds going to make it get that solvency. Like it'd be like 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, right?
I was thinking of selling ad space, and I was actually doing some calculations. This is like boring podcast stuff, but anyway, it's like behind the scenes, right? You guys get to hear all the boring podcast stuff we talk about. But I was sort of calculating.
Get to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah, I was calculating like what other advertising rates of podcasts would be, like based on their views and downloads and this and that, what they would charge, you know, like per impression. And then I was like, well, I do a fraction of that. So then I calculated like whatever that would be. And I think at the time when I did the math, it might be a little bit more now. I think it was like we could probably charge $5 for, like, realistically for our viewership, about $5 for like a 30-second ad or something like that. But you get a couple people doing a $5 ad, like that's, you know, and what's $5, you know, if you got like a business that you're running. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think that networking is going to be the big thing. I also am going to be working on, this is just a quick small announcement.
The Sacred Space.
I will.
They're all gone.
That's good. Yes. I will be upgrading my equipment for recording because I want to get into audio recording a little bit. And I found out that there's actually a really decent mid-range microphone that I can get. And it's only around $50 when you get it used. And it's a USB-C microphone, so it works specifically with phones. So I can put y'all on a fucking on a mounted grip with a phone microphone that has higher quality, and I might even be able to get like a pop filter on it too, so you're not having any mouth noises or anything, although Discord's pretty good about that. And then you could have me on camera and have me talking more consistently like you are, you know? And not to say you have to, Scott, but I would be open to helping you get a similar type of equipment depending on whatever you're working with for technology. I can research what would be convenient for you and help you find that.
Yeah,
I mean,
if that's something you want to do.
The only thing is I don't know where I'd put it. That's my thing. I would have to like find a place. Like my house is like, I mean, it's a house, but it's a row home, and it like I live here with like me and my mom, Darian, Chris, 4 people, whatever. And there's not much room.
So here's the beauty about this, though. See what Jay is doing with his background right now? That auto filters out everything that you're seeing aside from him. So literally, as long as you have space just to be on camera with your phone, it wouldn't even require extra space. You would just literally have a microphone next to you that you could talk to, and it would be your phone.
I could set that up. I mean, like I mean, at that point, then it would be my kitchen, which means that I would have to kind of just ask people to be like, hey, on the Sundays we're recording, which isn't every Sunday, but you know, on those Sundays
you can get your little phone clamp too to keep it nice
Sundays
and steady.
We record, no banging around in the kitchen for 2 hours.
Listening to
Mom, get off the pots!
Like the first episode we recorded. Are you recording your podcast?
Oh,
That's cute.
perfect
I love
throwback.
pieces. I love her so much.
I know, I did.
But yeah, like I'm all about improving the podcast quality and building up because like we've been going at it for a while now and I don't feel like we're even feeling like slowing down or stopping. You know what I mean?
No, it's really I don't know. I think some of us here maybe use it as therapy. And you know that's fine because like sometimes you just need therapy among friends, right? You need that, right? You need to talk to friends
Mm-hmm.
and you need to talk it out and that's great. And I know a lot of people that listen to us, I'll often hear like it feels like I'm, talking to my friends. So good. We're
We
doing
love
what
hearing that.
we're doing what we always intended to do. Some of our early episodes I tried to script more and they just didn't work out as well. So this is our format. So thank the gods we have found our format.
And it makes it so easy too because we don't have to like have these pre-written stuff and have to be vying for space with each other. We literally just get a chat and have the vibe that it's like a fun show to talk about witchcraft and queer stuff with, you know?
Speaking
Mm-hmm.
of witchcraft and I guess kind of queer stuff, but more witchcraft. So, Scott, I don't know if you wanted to kind of intro this. That crafting a daily practice, that Teethorn Coil book that I picked up.
Oh yeah.
Did we want to open that up to like our Discord community and kind of work through
I
it on that scale, or do we just want to do it like within our, just like the four of us, and then
I
open it up?
think that you had the best idea when we were talking about this at Sacred Space, where I think it definitely should be opened up. I think it's a great way to get even more time with listeners, and I think that they would really appreciate it. Um, but I think I forget the word you use, but essentially, sort of testing it with us, right?
Okay.
So to catch Sophia up, T. Thorne Coyle wrote this amazing book. Again, what's the book title? I could not remember for the
It
life of
is
me.
called Crafting a Daily Practice. A simple course on self-commitment.
And the thing is that we talk about this. All of us talk about this quite a lot. About how sometimes it's really hard to have a regular practice, not even just a daily practice. Regular could be every other day, but the thing is that sometimes it gets really hard. And when I get overwhelmed, I know for certain that I step away from my spirituality. My spirits go unfed. And I think the one thing that everyone here can attest to, definitely Sophia, when you step away from your practice, it unfortunately opens you up to your enemies. And they like to use those moments to ding, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're weak, attack. I certainly know.
You gotta build a fortress.
I'm over here doing a reading because uh I've been having some issues, but
Oh, is somebody fucking with you? Do you want me to go throw hands on them?
I this
Not yet.
person I not yet.
Not yet.
I
I
love you,
will.
and if I need it, no, I know. If I
Yeah.
need help, I will. I'm definitely that person. I will ask for help. This isn't a pride thing. It's more like
Really?
this time it's personal kind of
Yeah.
thing. If that makes any sense, I'll fill you in.
And
And
you
no
get
one
them,
really knows
Tiger.
about it.
You get them, Tiger.
I'll fill you in on what it's about, but anyway, I will tell you, not here. But we were thinking about doing this thing where I had an idea, and this is just one part of it, where we would accountability team. Where if you are someone who is maybe neurodiverse or mentally ill and you're a practitioner, it could be really hard staying up with feeding your spirits, lighting your altars, taking time to meditate. Um, Essentially, what we were thinking is that we would all join in a video call, and then we would go on mute, but we would do our work on video chat. But we would all be accountable because we're all sort of there. You know what I mean? We're not watching because we're all a little bit busy, but we're all present. We can't be present in the room or whatever, but we're present with each other.
Accountability buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Accountability buddies.
Yep, exactly. And that way you don't feel so alone. You feel kind of supported and you kind of feel like you're doing something together, even if you're doing it alone. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so we're thinking that. But the cool thing is that this could expand too. Like one of the things, another thing that I believe we talked about was sitting down and meditating with one another. Just again, still on silent, so that way noise doesn't disturb anybody. But um, and just making sure, like we can set a timer, for ourselves, and and it doesn't have to be long. Some people can meditate, up to 15 minutes or longer. Some people only 5 minutes, and that's fine. What we could do is, I said we could just, for people who can meditate longer, we could just go down a little bit. We'll set everyone at 5 minute timer. We'll work with people who meditate at 5 minutes, but we'll all do it together. And then as they grow into 10 minutes, we start meditating into 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, 25 minutes, right? And we start taking time to really, really meditate. Um, uh, yeah. So like these kind of accountability things, and even if it's just feeding your altars, right? Making sure your spirits have some kind of offering, um, lighting lighting your candles, and working your spirits, just to say thank you. Uh, and then this book that Jay got um, kind of helps you with that. Yep. It's a
Putting it in the
beautiful.
camera for anyone who's watching the video. But I did pop it in our books and articles channel in the Discord. I just popped the title in. It's a really tiny little book. It's very short. It's basically an 8-week course. I don't even want to say course. Like it's not like a course and like it's super heavily academic, but it's 8-week structures of different meditations and practices and guides to help you get into the habit of creating a daily practice. It's not telling you what exactly to do. It's not any specific tradition. It's just you're a spiritual motherfucker and you're trying to be a consistent spiritual motherfucker. Well, do I have the book
Sounds
for
sick,
you?
bestie.
So yeah, we were gonna pilot it within us and see how we can keep up with it, and then find a way to kind of like bring it out to the rest of us here, because I think that's really where my heart is. It's not so much having a podcast, it's not so much having a shop, it's having a community of
Community.
other practitioners that you can kind of turn to and be like, hey, could someone like throw some cards about this for me? Like,
Yep.
like that's what you should be doing, Scott. I think you should consult a somewhat neutral party that we have here. Like I'm sure we have a lot of people in our community that would love to
Yeah,
divine
I mean,
perhaps.
I actually do. I do think it's a good idea too. It's something I was thinking about. Um, getting a reading on it from somebody else. The problem is that I have D&D later, and I don't
Oh
have.
yeah. Yeah, I know.
That's the only problem. Or else I would. I would literally
Yeah.
do it right here. I'd be like, Sophia, like, hey, what are you seeing? But well, I mean, I guess. Well, I don't want to take time. You know what I mean, from the conversation.
Well,
But
people also read in different
Girl, if
ways.
you want me to divine for you right now, don't even fucking fret. People love seeing live magic on the podcast. I can pull cards for you. I can dowsing rods. I can fucking throw runes for you. What are you feeling?
actually, what are you feeling? Yeah, let's let it happen. Let's
I
go for it.
fucking love dowsing rods. Let's do the dowsing rods.
Okay.
What are you trying to figure out if you're being worked on? Is that what you're still
So ask a
mulling
Yeah.
over?
question.
Yeah.
Show me no. Come on, show me no. There you go. One of my favorite things to do with dowsing rods when I'm aligning them is say, show me no, and then they'll point straight forward. And then when you ask the question, they like kind of are magnetically drawn towards each other. They naturally want to waver in your hand, and it's really fucking cool to do it. So go ahead and ask a question.
I'll start off simple. Am I being worked on?
Is Scott being worked on? Yep. Yeah, you're getting crosses. It was
Should be a
slow.
video.
It's not super strong. So someone's doing. It's like I judge the severity of the hit based on how quick the rods react.
That's
So
good.
there's someone working on you, but they're not super entrenched. It was a very slow wander, and then once they got together, the other one wandered over. So there is definite someone's fucking with you, but they don't have a very strong hold on you.
That happens a lot. I'll explain that later. Do I know the person?
Does Scott know the person? Weird. That's giving me a no.
Oh, that's weird.
Maybe it's
Well,
wrong.
technically speaking, like it's funny because the thing that popped into my head was like, do you know this person? Like in the sense,
Do you
like
know
I don't,
them?
I haven't. Right, like, do
Is
you know
Scott
them?
aware of who the person is, but not actually like knowing who they are? Okay, that's they're saying yes. So like you're aware of the person, but it may not be who you're thinking it is.
Does the
That's
person's
what I'm getting out of that.
Have you ever
Go
done
ahead.
this thing with dowsing rods where you say give me the first letter of the person's name and you start going through the alphabet and you start A, B and you wait till they cross?
I can if you want. Is
Yeah.
it with an A? Actually, wait. Give me a list of. We don't want to do the whole alphabet. Give me a list of suspect letters.
I only have one suspect in mind.
One sus.
One suspect.
Is it the person Scott suspects it to be?
Yeah.
They're wandering, but they're not leading towards each other. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Is it
The
somebody Scott doesn't expect it to be?
Oh.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a yes.
Someone I don't expect it to be?
That's what it's saying. Yeah, I don't know.
In some ways I'm happy to hear that. In some ways. Because then that means it's probably magic that I'm familiar with.
I can pull bicycle cards too if you want for a more defined
That's what I've
answer
been
on
doing.
this.
That's what I've been doing too. That's what I'm over here shuffling. My
Okay, give me
bicycle
a
deck.
second.
These witches.
But
I have a very specific set of cards I use for that.
me too.
Tell me what you find.
As far as
Your divination results.
mine were that I'm being worked on. And let me see. I want to see something. Hold on. Is it the person? Hold on. Is the person working on me the person that I think it is? I'm going to do a simple yes and no. You lay down 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You are
This
way
says
better
no.
than me with bicycle cards. I want to learn from you.
Oh, this says no.
Okay.
Yeah, this says it's not the person I think it is. So this is lining up.
Go dowsing rods.
See that it's. I mean, I don't like. It's funny because I don't. It makes me happier. It means that the tradition of magic I actually know. Most likely the person I thought it was, I really thought that they were just being petty. But I suppose not.
A new foe appears.
I
Like
mean,
Smash Brothers.
Right.
it is what it is. Like when you're more public, like when you like, and I've always known this. Like I know, like not a lot of people like to hear it. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But the fact of the matter is that like we throw on each other a lot more than we like to admit. No, I mean we don't, but
I'm going to
the
ask a
community
question on
does.
this, actually. So, did Scott pick up an adversary at the sacred space?
I don't think I did.
Oh,
No!
I wish
No,
we
it
had
did!
video.
Check
No.
it. Check it on your
I
end.
wanted to
Check it
see
on your end. That was a strong yes.
Well, this is kind of cool because the dowsing rods, we're seeing if the cards that Scott's pulling is reinforcing what the dowsing rod's giving.
Did I pick up an enemy?
Did you pick up a
Did
nemesis?
I pick up? I love that, Janos. Did I pick up an enemy at Sacred Space Conference? Did I pick up an enemy at Sacred Space Conference? Did I pick up an enemy? Did I pick up an enemy at Sacred Space Conference? Oh, I hate when I do that. Did I pick up an enemy at Sacred Space Conference?
God, I love that divination.
Cards will start.
Yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These say no.
No? Interesting. Then I must have been off on it.
2 black and 1 red, which generally would be no.
Well,
But I could be wrong.
I mean, I could be wrong too.
And like right.
Such is the way of
But
divination.
well, I think it's funny because like I tried to do this with it because I couldn't find my deck. Like when me and Sophia say to you, like when it
maybe-
comes to your bicycle deck that you use to divine with, it's very
Ooh.
special.
Maybe-
I got another yes when I just asked my bicycle deck. Tell me how you interpret it, but I usually do a single card split and you got Jack of Diamonds.
See, I do mine a little different. So I do a color. I do the color one where you lay down five cards, and depending on the majority of the cards is your answer. So like all black is no, absolutely not. All red is absolutely yes. And then anything in between can kind of be interpreted if you want to, like a yes but or a no but kind of thing.
Okay, I got 2 red, 3 black on the ask.
2 red, 3 black. So that would be.
And I asked the exact same question if it was from Convocation, or not Convocation, Sacred Space.
Right. I
black
think
would be-
the black is no, red is yeah.
yeah.
It's weird because I've had issues with this person before, and it's always like obfuscating their work, obfuscating their work. They do that quite regularly, which I'm not surprised that it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's really like I'm not even interested in sending it back. I'm going to the Botanica tomorrow to get some supplies. So I'll be taking care of it tomorrow. But it's frustrating because I wonder, like, I often wonder if it's like for petty reasons. Like one of the questions I was going to ask, but since we're doing it in front of everybody, is the reason why I'm being worked on because I blocked them for being rude?
The audacity.
Is the reason why I'm being worked on because I blocked them for being rude. One, two, one. This is weird because then I get no, which means it's
I
not
really
that person.
don't. It's
Yeah,
I don't
and I
think it
just
is
did a
who you think it is.
divination. And I just did another divination that typically works really well. I'm really aware of how people can have obfuscation wards specifically for divining about them. But what I can accurately do is divine if they have obfuscation wards, because that's a layer of authentication people don't actually think to put on it. They usually just think ward me so that people can't see my stuff going on through divination. They don't actually think about if people can observe the fact that they have that obfuscation on them, right? It is a little bit of a mind semantical trick, but it works really well. And that showed me a solid no. Like, it was like 4 black and 1 red.
Right.
And I just asked if it's somebody that Scott doesn't expect, and you got 3 red, 2 black. So yeah.
Yeah, it's someone I don't. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. I
It's
am
me.
so used
No.
to rubbing people the wrong fucking way.
It's me.
I
I'm
really
thrown at
am.
you. Didn't you know? God, get better.
You know,
Scott, do you have a 6 of Mars?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay,
Oh, that's
cool.
a good idea.
Cool.
Have it.
You
I
should
just
use
right.
some Mars oil and do it on the Mars hour on the Mars day. I can't remember which it is, but I think it's Tuesday. I think it's 3 p.m. on Tuesday, actually, but don't quote me on that.
I pay
And
that
yeah, give it
$3 a month for that planetary Magick app hour thing. So
yeah.
if you need to know, I'll look it up for you.
I
So
actually
yeah,
have one.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying I have my planetary hours app.
Perfect. Take that, find the exact day and hour of Mars, and do a recitation of any of the incantations or words that are associated in the Solomonic Pentacle Grimoire. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I know it's not the Ars Goetia, but it's a different one, because it is specifically Solomonics, and there should be incantations with it. Like, I remember one that I used to wear when I was younger was like, omnium rectum in seculum seculi. I actually only remember the last part on seculum seculi. Everything else before that is really forgotten. But there should be a Latin invocation with it as well that you can do while you're anointing it with the oil, and specifically with the intent of charging it up to send back whatever was sent at you, and also clearing that space so that it's ready and proper up to form. Because like nothing takes more wear out of a person's magical equipment than your fucking 6 of Mars pendant. That fucker will break every goddamn chain it's on. It'll wear its loop out if it's perfect silver. Like, you have to repair them and upkeep them, because it is a serious fucking first line of defense mechanism. It shouldn't be your only line of defense. I know y'all know, I'm just saying for listeners, but yeah, maintain your 6 of Mars pentacles, because they do a lot of fucking work and they wear down over time.
I just picture like you, Sophia, as this like you have this little shop that's like hidden, tucked off an alley, and what you do is like sigil and like sigil and pentacle repair. You know, like, let me polish this up for you, get you a new chain for that. You know.
Well, actually, a big thing that happens, like I said, is wearing out the loops, because a lot of really good pendants are silver, and what often they're worn with is chains, and the chains tend to be a bit more of an abrasive material. They tend to be stainless steel, so they will grate on it little bits over time. And what's the most common repair that you'll have to do is like forging a new silver loop to put onto it, and it's helpful to have metallurgy skills to do that without having to fully melt down and repress the sigil, because then you have to like have an individual mold of what that actual pendant is, which you could do if you have a good mold casting setup and you're really experienced with that, and then you just edit in the sand where the extra bits go in to like repair the loop. You add in the extra silver and then like grind it off. But metallurgy is a complicated thing, and I haven't done it in a while, since like high school, but I would totally be into it and like have like the different fucking oils and shit, and like get people's shit together, and recommend different types of chains. Like, if you use a wheat chain, if you know what that is, the links are a lot more interlinked, and they're a lot less abrasive to the pendant itself, and it's far less likely to wear on it over time. But even those do minute wear.
Yeah, that's true.
But what you call it? I will probably create a simple Mars incense.
Ooh.
And I'll probably I'll read it's a what you call it? I like to use Psalm 37:15. Their swords shall enter their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. And
Yep,
I'll probably
it's essentially that.
Yeah, I'll translate that into Latin, and yeah, I got it. It's my pendant's right next to me. So I'll do that, and then tomorrow I'll go to the Botanica, and I'm going to I want to do some candle magic. I've been feeling like candle magic will take care of this pretty easily.
Mhm.
I don't know if the person watches. See, that's the problem. Like, what if they know? I don't. I for
Fuck
whatever
'em
reason,
if they do.
huh?
I said if they do, fuck them.
Well,
Just because they know
if
what's
they talk
coming,
about
don't
my
mean they can stop it.
yeah, but then they could do. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
Well,
I
you're
wanted to
gonna
probably
do
do some
those
candle magic.
things, and then one other secret thing that no one
You're right.
fucking
I
knows
have other
about.
things
So,
that I could do too. Yeah, that's true. I do.
Oh, I got some juicy shit for you. We can talk about afterwards, and I am down to fucking clown.
I
Ain't
would.
nobody swinging on my friends without bringing me into the fucking game. I'm telling you what.
I know. Yeah, it's funny because I was gonna ask for help, but sometimes that's why I thought it was. That's why I thought it was that the person I thought it was. Because sometimes when they do their work, they feel a lot bigger than they are. But it's something that I think that they do to their work. It's something that they do uh as like a form of fear magic. Um, but I don't I really don't think it's, I'm starting to not really think it's him. I like I said, like with the more you become out in the open with this stuff, like the more you start rubbing shoulders and the more you start rubbing people the wrong way. And I've always and that's something I have to kind of accept. There are just times where I rub people the wrong way. Um, I don't really know why. I don't really know what it is, but when I rub people the wrong way, I really rub them the wrong way.
I do it the same way too. And you know what it is, Scott? There's a lot of petty fucking people in this world who can't help but be mad at other people when they're thriving and happy. And it could be something as simple as, I don't like their voice, or I don't like their face, or I don't like this about them, you know? And we're very unique people. We stand out. That's okay. We are who we are. And I love being me and you love being you. I catch
Mhm.
fucking heat all the goddamn time because people think a certain way about me and feel a fucking certain kind of way, and it's always judging a book by its fucking cover type of shit. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
almost never comes down to like something I've done directly. Sometimes it does, but those are much, much, much more rare occasions. And it's usually just like some fucker at a golf club who thinks that I'm a cute girl who like tries to cast a spell on me, who then gets the magical equivalent of a bloody lip and then gets pissed off and it's like, who the fuck are you? And it escalates from there. But like I said, that's just like casual petty shit, right?
mm,
I love that I too have had magical duels in a goth club.
It is
It
the
makes me
okay, like real talk. It is the most common place to throw hands in real life. I'm not even kidding. Almost every fucking goth party I go to, I catch a lot of heat. Like I'm very toned down magically on like what I show up for my signature to other people. I don't even wear an outwardly displayed pentagram. If you see my six of Mars and you know your shit, you're gonna recognize what it is. But maybe less than 1% of people I've talked to will even inquire about what my amulet is. So like
Mhm.
most of them don't even fucking know on that level. So when they go sniffing around and they try and do something that violates consent, they're not used to coming up against somebody who's been practicing for a very long time and has a very entrenched warding system, and they're not getting used to magically bitten like that. And it
Yeah.
causes a reaction.
Yeah, it's funny because I probably told my story. One time I was at a club and this girl, I don't know what her issue was, but she was real hostile to me. And she came up to us out of nowhere and we were sitting down, like we were chilling because we were dancing most of the night. And we were just relaxing in this like comfy corner, like, kind of feeling like I don't know, kind of like something out of a movie because they're like red
mm,
cushions and stuff.
ooh,
And yeah, it was like this red, it was like a booth and it had like red cushions and a black table. It's just
you're like, I'm
very
rich.
moody. And she like came down, but she was like being nice to everyone, but she was super critical to me. And this was a long time ago, but I forget what happened. I started recognizing that the symptoms of psychic vampirism, and
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, you're one of those. I'm like, okay. this is fun, so I was like, even in my baby witch phase, I was still really young. I was in high school, but I was like, I got a thing for your ass. And I was wearing I still have the pendant. It's on my bookshelf. I have this really cool pendant that invokes the four archangels, so Michael, Uriel, Gabriel,
Yeah.
and Raphael, and it has all their traditional sigils superimposed over one another, and then it has their names in a circle around it. And I began to sort of like intone their names in my head, like focusing on pulling them down. And as I'm doing that, she starts to get really uncomfortable. And I could see her like starting to fidget, and she like keeps like looking at me, and it was really weird. She's like starting to react. And I could then start. I eventually, at one point during the middle of a recitation, of just their names as invocation, these pillars of light, like these, I could see like the vision was impressed upon me of these like pillars of light just shot down, like they kind of look like swords falling from heaven, just like as in a square around my body.
Homie
And,
Mikhail showing up.
and it was so funny because she did the most awkward thing. She just like in the middle of a sentence, she stood up and walked away.
Oh, weird.
And we were like,
Damn.
everyone was just like,
Okay.
we all like, all my friends were like, what the fuck was that? And of course, I'm just smiling.
You're like,
And
not me. Over
I'm like,
Hell
I
yeah.
don't
If I
know.
may,
Yeah.
Oriel, Michael, Raphael. Fuck, I just forget the fourth one. Oriel, Michael, Raphael,
Boom.
Gabriel. It's
Yeah.
always Gabriel, I forget. Sorry, Gabriel.
You know what I always mess up with the LBRP? I always mess up if it's like before me, to my right, behind. Like I always forget if it goes in a clock, but it's always before me, behind me, right, left. That's what I
Yeah,
always
it's all,
mess up.
I think it's before me, Michael, at my
Yeah.
right hand, Oriel, at my right hand, Gabriel, at my left hand, Oriel, behind me, Raphael. Quote me on, or
Yeah,
correct
so
me if I'm wrong.
I think
I
it
love
goes.
how it's the chaos magician that knows it better. The Nordic and the traditional witch are like, yeah, it's one of those.
No, so I think what it is, it doesn't go in a clock. I looked up, so it's before me,
Mhm.
Mikael, and then and then it goes behind me,
Oh,
and then it's on my right hand, on
but
my
who's
left
at the
hand.
directions? Who's at the each direction? If it's
That's what
before
I'm.
me, it's Michael, right?
It's all, yeah. That's always that, and then behind me. Yeah, I'm really mixing them up
Is it
now.
Raphael? I really think it's Raphael
I think it
behind
is
me, and I'm pretty
Raphael.
sure it's Gabriel and Oriel to the right and left.
I keep a version of. I can't pull up now.
Let
I keep
me.
it in notes on my phone. And I literally have like Crowley's book downstairs that has the ritual in it. But that's always what I mess up when I can do the whole ass thing now. Like I've learned this thing. It's one of the ceremonial magic things that I
Left hand
wanted to
is
master.
Oriel. Yeah,
I know that. Yeah, I always know
that's
left hand
how.
is Oreo, and then
Right hand. So,
right hand
do you want
and
to know the
behind.
mnemonic device that I use to remember which
Mm,
position is between Oriel and Gabriel?
mm,
Oriel, it's okay. So there's two pronunciation of Uriel. You can use it as just Uriel, but I
Uriel,
also
yeah.
like adding the A to it because it's a little bit more antique or like old school. And
Mm,
Oriel sounds like aura, and it's a very easy mnemonic device for me to remember when I'm facing east and doing the LBRP because that's the direction of the sunrise. At my left hand to the north specifically is Oriel, which I can remember from Aurora Borealis, right? And then
mm,
the only thing I fuck up on is not doing Raphael immediately after Michael, because it's supposed to be doing the first direct cross from east to west, and
yep.
then you're supposed to go from south to north. And you don't ever do north to south because in Gnosticism, the right hand is always favored, thus, like the right hand of God thing. So you always start at my right hand, Gabriel.
Yep. You have to really
We
understand the
got our shit
direction.
down.
Yeah, you have to understand the direction that you're oriented to, because sometimes, like,
Mm-hmm.
I understand now more. Like, the more that I've been in different rituals, I used to be like my altar always faces north. That's just where I always wanted, because I could always remember north. I'm looking this way. This way is north. Like that's how I would orient myself magically.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've gotten a little older and I've done it more, and I have actual, like, I bought myself just like a regular compass that I don't need to like open my phone for or anything. I just have like a compass now. I do kind of tend to start my rites facing east now, because I understand
Hmm.
where east, it's where magic comes from. It's where the sun rises. It's where
Yep.
all of that
It's
comes
where the
from.
stars rise from. It's where the moon
Mhm.
comes from.
And it
That's where
feels more
everything
potent.
proceeds from.
There's just that it doesn't make your magic any less. And I'm not saying, never start in the north. That's not what I'm saying. But like there is a
You can.
difference when you start to shift, like when you start to pay attention to the differences, you'll start to notice, oh, that does spice my shit up a little bit
Hmm.
more. Now I understand why it's done in this way. But if you're like,
There's
but I'm
so
still gonna
many.
do it this way because that's just the way I want to do it, like that's fine too. Do
Yeah,
your
and
thing.
there's so many cultures that specifically revere the eastern direction slash door, right? Because, like I said, it's where the sun comes from, it's where the stars come from, it's where the moon comes from, right? Everything rotates in that direction from left to right. So a lot of cultures have oriented even their language structure to move from left to right, you know?
That's
But
interesting.
again,
Ashka in the chat, Ashka was just saying we start mostly west. So there you have it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um, And also, the right to left thing is purely dependent on your orientation. If you're
Hmm.
facing south, left is sunrise. And if you're facing north, it's to the right.
Hmm.
And a lot of people do, specifically in the northern hemisphere, a lot of people tend to orient towards the north, I've noticed.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think that has to do just with like magnetic north.
my altars have when I think about it, have always been like north facing.
Yeah.
And I have a digital compass on my phone. So it's always like about 27, 28 degrees northeast,
Hmm.
Hmm.
because north is in a weird place. So
It's
like
always in the
I would have to
corner.
set it up in my corner.
Yeah. And the table doesn't
So,
fit in the corner. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
how Philly row homes are bit. Or how they're built is
yeah,
that the actual direction is always on the diagonal. Like it's always on the corner.
that's most
yeah,
Canadian cities too. Almost
Yeah.
everything's slightly offset from north, and I can point to the specific direction it is. And on a similar note, when I'm placing my altars in my house, because I'm typically a poor chaos goblin and I just like live wherever I can afford to live, I don't really get ideal circumstances to place my altar in. My spirits understand that and they're totally cool about it. Nothing's ever
yeah.
really had a problem with that.
I
And
get
typically, just from the houses that I've lived in, my altar often faces south or west, and that is very indicative of the type of backwards ass magic that I do. That's very different from a lot of people's, but that's kind of also the crooked slash backwards path, right? And that's totally a okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
I
And
always
like also, go ahead.
I just always found it interesting. It seemed that regionally, depending where you were, it's just funny, Scott, that usually our altars face the northeast corner of the
That
house.
is, yeah, and it was totally like I didn't even mean it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I just, because it's the space that I had when I was younger, and then I've always just like it just always seems to be the space that I have now most of the time.
Mhm.
Um, Although I will say, now that I'm thinking about it, my altar now does not. Because I moved my altars downstairs to the living room so I could work with them more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now, where's my front door? Right here.
Don't you love getting lost in your own house? That's also, it's something I really suggest everyone do that. Get a compass, or honestly, they're really cheap. Like you can get compasses pretty much anywhere. Um
Yeah, it's like
get an app on your
120
phone, but
degrees
also
southeast.
get a compass and just orient yourself in the different directions, right? And then just kind of meditate with those energies, sit with it. Does anything feel different in this corner versus that corner? Like that's what
Mhm.
witchcraft is, like really getting in tune with the
Yes.
nuances of those directions.
Some people have even
Um.
suggested looking at your look at your where you are and like what makes more sense. Like if you have if you have like air association somewhere like high peaks, you know what I mean? Like if you have like tall mountainous terrain and you associate that with air more than you do earth. You know what I mean? Like if you have, or
Or if
even
you pray towards Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
right, or right, or a stone quarry. You know what I mean? Like, and you see that more as, you know what I'm saying? Like you could do that too. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that either. Because realistically, like, I always love this part of Hermetic philosophy, where like in ritual, essentially in Hermeticism, you are the center of the universe when you're doing
Mm.
ritual. So like where you are is supposed to be visualized as sort of the axis of the universe itself, which I always think is really cool. Um, and in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, I kind of get that because in traditional craft, we're often sort of straddling the tree of the world tree, right? The world above, below, and in between. And I think if we're supposed to see it as like a static pole, right, or a pole, sometimes it's often represented by the stang in
Mm-hmm.
traditional craft. Um, yeah, it's this idea that wherever you are, wherever you're doing ritual, is the center.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess from that moment, you could you could realistically, whatever, however you do it, you could do it. I don't think you have to be super duper overly particular all the time. Some people have a lot of success with just, calling spirits. Some people don't do that at all, and that's, works, but whatever.
That's what I think I've
Three,
realized.
three,
Like,
three.
yeah,
Just
people.
changed to 4.
Yeah, people have different skill sets. Like, you're not going to be good at everything, and that's good because if everyone was good at everything, then we wouldn't need each other for anything.
Right. And that's the whole point of the community thing that you were talking about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
about making sure we grow resources. Like even if it's just to like build connections, like, you know, I was really impressed with myself with uh I was speaking to a pretty popular occult shop who wants to come down for Pagan Pride Day.
Mm.
And I don't know if they signed up or not. They said that they were. I don't know.
I have to check.
Um
I usually leave that to Rue. Rue has taken over all vendor stuff, so
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
No,
look
it's
at it
fine.
anymore.
Um but like I think it was just cool to build more connections. You know what I mean? More community. You know what I mean? Like being at the Sacred Space conference, like it was so bizarre. I'm standing in the middle of a Sheraton hotel, main floor, having a wonderful but very simple, mundane conversation with Matt Urin and Evo, and we were having just a casual conversation, and then and it was really nice.
We got to
Not
get
like
those guys on the podcast.
not starstruck, not in awe, just nice. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It was
I'd like to pin down Matt for an episode. Thank you.
yeah,
'Cause
that'd be cool.
I that's what I did on Thursday night. That's what I did. That triggered my memory. I went to Matt Oren's presentation on the Baphomet or Baphomet, whatever
Ooh.
your preferred
Right.
pronunciation is. Yeah. Um, it was good. Unfortunately, the room was like hell levels of hot, so it was actually kind of
Oh yeah.
appropriate, I guess, for the topic. But I just remember being really sweaty, and that was where most of my focus was. I get really not good when I'm in temperatures that don't agree. I'm just like, I'm hot, I'm hot. It overrides everything. But no, I took
Yeah.
notes though. It was a good presentation though. It was good. But yeah, we were all just very sweaty in the room.
It was
Believe it or hot, that's
Yeah.
my happy place, being in the heat.
You like the sweatiness?
I can't help but love when I don't have to worry about ever feeling a single chill.
Hmm. That I get that. I feel that because it does suck being cold.
It's
There's like
very
a
hard
sweet
on my
spot of
body. My
temperature.
muscles my muscles seize up a lot in the cold, and I've like physically age older in winter, and I like physically age younger in the warmer seasons. So I can't help but love the heat because it lets me have my body back.
So the aging process starts to reverse in the
Yes, like
in
literally
the
like a
warmer
half
months.
decade or more every year. And I'm in the
That's great.
process of aging back the other way. Yeah, actually, briefly, my health has been shooting up massively because I realized I had a protein deficiency because I
Oh.
wanted to start working out more. And I bought whey protein powder to drink,
Yeah.
and it's been working so much that my body actually fucking craves it more than once a day now. And I'm getting tons of protein in my diet. And instead of like being run down all the time like I used to, because I just thought I was getting older, turns out I was just protein deficient. And the moment I gave it to my body's like, let's fucking go. And it's just like jacked again. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm taking creatine again. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I went so fucking hard at work the other day, and I'm like not even nearly as worn down as I used to be about it. And I'm bouncing back so quick, and I'm like just hungry, like anime levels hungry right now. Like while we were on the podcast, I muted intermittently and made a fucking thing of pierogies and ate it because I needed the starch, okay? And I've been eating really healthy too, so I don't need to eat copious amounts like I used to when I was eating unhealthy stuff. And I'm like barely even eating fucking candy anymore. And when I do get a craving for sugar, I usually give myself a good fucking glass of Tang. And like that gives me the vitamin C that I'm actually craving, even though there is sugar in it, obviously. And I'm like
Yeah, I
starting
just
my
haven't
day
heard
with
Tang in a while.
it's the
I think
best
that's
shit
so good.
ever.
Ooh, I like Tang. I do. Tang is
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
I just haven't
And
had
I'm
it.
starting my day with Greek yogurt, and like that shit gets you fucking going because there's so much protein in it. And like it turns out I didn't have low energy levels because I'm just dying all the time. It's because my diet was dog shit because I was poor, but also not just because I was poor, but because I didn't know what to buy. And I'm actually
Right.
spending less on groceries now because the whey protein powder, I got a fucking kilogram for $30 Canadian. And to put that into perspective for price for y'all, that's 65 cents on the dollar for American. So like I don't know, $12. I got it, or not $12, like is 15, maybe $17. I got a you would pay to get a full fucking kilogram, like a massive bag of protein powder. And it's like a full meal replacement with how nourishing it is. And like it's really nice stuff that's like mixed with freeze dried strawberries and kiwis. So it tastes like actually fucking wonderful. And like when I was younger, I used to not really like the flavor of other ones at all, but this one
Yeah,
I
they're
could
just not
tolerate.
great.
But now I
Yeah.
fucking crave it, and I'm like, oh, it's delicious. Let's go. And I like slam it down, and my stomach gives me that like, let's fucking go feeling. And I'm like, this is what's up. And I'm like working out again. I like bought some iron dumbbells. So when I'm not at work, I'm actually like pumping fucking iron and like
Yeah.
fixing the parts of my body that had been breaking down. Scott and I both doing that fucking iron pumping diet fixing journey, fucking going hard. And I'm not at the point where I need to shed weight. I am just gonna start doing fucking gains right now and get seriously fucking shredded like a bag of cheese, okay?
I I want I want to start creatine too. I
It's
think that'll
good.
help me a lot. But yeah, yeah. I actually recently, what you call it? I unfortunately my trainer well, it was a very I joke and I'm like it was we had a trainer client breakup, but it wasn't a breakup. He just can't, due to his schedule from his personal work, from working at the gym that he works at, plus taking care of some personal stuff. He just can't train me on the schedule, and we just keep changing. So he was like, for right now, he's like, unfortunately, he's like, honestly, he's like, I really just can't. He's like, but he does want to keep up with my weight loss stuff.
Mhm.
So he does
Oh
want me
yeah.
like, and he's like, you would text me if you need anything like tweaked with your program or anything like that. So like, it's not, it sucks, but it's whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm really like, what I really want to do right now, like, I just want to like, what I really would love is to have a home gym. Not that I have space for that either, but I'm like, my gym is just, I love it. I do, like, it's cool, but it's such a boys club, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
really tired of like the conversations that I have to hear because it's such a small gym. When I say small, I mean it's a room. Um, and like, if it's not the Guidos over there calling women B words and talking about, with the amount of money I spent on these B words, the least they could do is not say no when I ask for it. That was a real
Yes.
thing said at my gym.
Ugh.
And then one guy, I really don't know what it was about, but I can't imagine it being good because Trump came out of his mouth. But he said before that something about something being unnatural. And I was like, I don't know what you said before that, but I can only imagine. I didn't say
You're
it out
like,
loud, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that.
you're
And
like Ralph, like, I'm in danger.
right, and it's like getting really frustrating because like
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to work out, not listen to this fucking garbage.
right, and I don't have like my headphones are kind of broken, and I don't have earbuds. It's like a whole big thing.
If I may,
Hmm?
one piece of equipment you could really invest in to help is just a set of modular dumbbells. Don't get the ones that are like weird boxy ones. You just literally, you know how like when you're doing the bench press, it's like that big bar with the circle weights and then you thread on the thing that
Yeah.
keeps it on.
Mm-hmm.
You can get small dumbbell sized ones like that and also get yourself a deadlift bar because they take up the least amount of space in your room, and you can also stack the disc weights vertically and they don't degrade like other weight systems do. I'm telling you, the most amount of size to workout ratio you can get at home is getting yourself a small set of modular dumbbells with free weights on it, with the circle ones, and maybe getting a the big bar for like deadlifts and other stuff if you were also doing those workouts at the gym. It's
Could set it
not
up in
super
your yard.
expensive. I spent $35 on my dumbbells, and brand new set like this would have probably cost at least $80 to $100 because it's like extremely high quality stainless steel, and they're like not even tarnished or scratched. So I got a fucking hell of a deal. And the best place to look for this stuff is on Facebook Marketplace. You don't
Yep.
want to be buying workout equipment new because so many people buy this shit who have money, who want to get fit, but then just don't actually have the drive to do it. And then they just fucking offload it to get their money back. And you can often buy weights for a dollar on the pound or less, depending on what your currency equivalency is and how much people are trying to offload at a given time.
I also have to. It's fun. I knew about the Facebook Marketplace. There's also a thing too. A lot of police like police gyms,
Hmm.
they upgrade. They'll get like an upgrade every couple of years, and their
Oh,
stuff
they'll
will
do
be
like a
perfectly fine. They
giveaway.
just give them better stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they sell that stuff for super cheap.
Hmm.
But my only problem is, of course, is like a space to put it.
And
Because
picking up and transporting it sucks
right,
too.
Yeah.
right. But right now I'm just like the way I put it. I was just talking about this to my friend. I was like, I'm just gonna go to my gym and work out and just mind my own business. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting invested in anything. Like I don't need these disgusting straight cis men to like even acknowledge my existence. I don't need to be your friend. Like we have
Not here
nothing
to
in
be your
common
friend.
anyway.
I'm here to work out and use the gym. That's what I'm
Right.
paying
Like
the
and
money
if
for.
you're a cool person, like I know cool people there, but like if you're not a cool person, I'm not cool with you anyway. Like, like cuz I can like the worst part is like sometimes like I recognize like I have to be careful with what I say. Like even like talking to John when he was training me there, like I was telling him about John is like really curious about like witchy stuff, not to practice himself, but
Hmm.
he's really fascinated by it and he's a big believer. And he was really curious about like the whole Mortalis class thing, and he was like totally enthralled with the story, like loved it. He was like really creeped out, and but even that I was like, they definitely heard me talking, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, I probably shouldn't have said all that. But I was like, you know what?
I don't
Maybe
care.
it'll just keep them off my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they think that I can curse the shit out of them, which I could, maybe they'll just leave me the fuck alone. You know?
But they'll be like, I
Um,
don't want to get involved in all that. And it's like, good, you
right,
don't want to
which
get
is fine.
involved in all that.
Right.
And I don't want you involved in all that, so
Right.
goodbye.
So, but it's frustrating. Like, but it is what it is. Yeah, exercise, weight loss, fun. Um, I was curious if Sophia, if you wanted to hear all the rest of the classes that I took at the
I do, but also a quick heads up, I need to bounce in 13 minutes for
Mm-hmm.
psionics class. Pew
Yeah.
That's
pew.
okay.
I was gonna
I
say
will be quick.
we've been going for an hour and almost 40 minutes
It's
now.
been a great episode, though.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Shit.
has been a
Yeah.
good episode. Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. So
Yeah, love y'all, besties.
love you. Um,
Oh,
one of the things was Ensoling the Effigy, which was my first night there. Image magic, puppetry, and inspirited objects. Evidential
oh,
medium.
that sounds fun.
That was a good one. That was with Matthew Venus. He did a really good job. That's also the title of his book coming out, which I can't wait to get. I did evidential mediumship with Rue, which was really good. Danielle was outstanding. Danielle, she gave me a lot of advice for my mediumship anxiety. I have a lot of like performance anxiety when it comes to mediumship readings. And then I also took the Book of Seals, midwifing a lost grimoire. And this class was amazing. This was supposed to be taught by two people, Elizabeth Empyrean and Sarah Mastros. Unfortunately, Sarah was not feeling well and couldn't
Oh,
attend.
so someone took over the class for her, like
The
someone
person who was going to teach it with her, yeah.
okay, so that's good. So the class still did go on because I noticed the one of her courses was canceled, but I noticed the other one wasn't, and I was like, "Why
Yeah,
is that?"
the Book of Seals. So this was actually about the Sefer Hatrat.
Oh, interesting. I was going to say Sefer Sefirah is a more common one, but that's interesting.
No, the Sefer Hatarat is way less well known. Also, interesting to note, all the seals from Mather's Solomonic, the Mather's version of Solomon's Pentacles, are all inspired from this much older Hebrew grimoire.
That's interesting.
Isn't
I
that
also
cool?
noticed that in some of the Solomonic Pentacles, and I noticed this by asking somebody, some of the Hebrew is actually completely off, and they commented that that's almost the effect of the historic telephone of like people copying a sigil of copying a sigil of copying a sigil, and like the modern versions that we have of that have almost morphed into a completely own subset of symbols, but are also still like relevant to the morphology of what that amulet is because it's like
Absolutely.
been continuous to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Which was sort of touched on a little bit in this class, but that's where all the seals come from. It's an amazing grimoire. This grimoire is actually getting its first like hardcore translation in about 2 years. They're expecting a release of the book of the translation of the Sefer Hatarat in 2027. And it's gonna be this really cool. The way they're doing it is like it's gonna be I forget what they're called, where it's sort of like a picture book, but there's also like a book too. Like it's a book,
Like an
but it's gonna be like
anthology
long.
or
No, it's like the way that the book structure. The book's gonna be long. You essentially could use the book for the seal pictures that are in it, because Elizabeth Empyrean, she's the artist for the book. It's really cool. Anyway,
cool. That sounds
yeah.
fucking wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. So excited. And I don't want to keep you waiting. And then I did the folklore and animism in a disenchanted world, where we discussed the myth of a disenchanted world. And the idea being that we are not yet disenchanted. People keep talking about it as if we already are, and we're not yet. BJ Swain talked about how people become disenchanted, not the world itself, because we live in a haunted landscape. The gods and the spirits are immediate. They're not like
Yeah, we live in an intrinsically magical world. It's only the individual who becomes disconnected.
exactly, which was discussed. And we discussed how again, like I was saying earlier about how the mask theory you brought up and how animists, kind of also have that same exact thing, although we wouldn't call it that, but absolutely. I took a hoodoo and the crossroads, conjure in the graveyard at the crossroads course. Um,
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
then I also took the Alpine Witchery, Austrian folk magic, lore, and spellcraft. And then I also took the exorcism and banishment when diplomacy fails.
Damn, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah. It was so cool. It was just wonderful. And also, I have to say, because I also have Christian Brunner. his book. He was the Alpine Witchery. He was really great. Like, it definitely felt like a college class, but in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I absolutely adored his accent. It was very nice to hear. And it was really cool.
What was
He taught us a
funny
lot about
is there was so much material like to really listen to, and there was like some whatever other workshop was happening next to us was very sing-songy, and it's like in a hotel with like those
Oh
walls
yeah.
that you can remove, so you can hear everything that's going on, and like all of a sudden it would be like chanting and like songs and like drumming and like a bell, and he's like it's just really funny, like in the middle of all this very serious information it's like dong, like
It was. He was kind of
The
making jokes about
ecclesiastic
it.
punctuating the extremely serious.
yes, it was hilarious.
It is. But if you're interested in some hardcore folk magic, to the point to where like in his book there's like even like death curses in here.
I'm always interested in hardcore magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it. Alpine Witch. Oh, the cool thing about it, by the way, the reason why I love his book, before you have to go, Sophia, if you're interested, Alpine Witchery, the reason why I love this book a lot is because he does something that a lot of folk magic books don't do. He teaches you how to apply folk magic in the modern age. So
Yeah.
instead of it being like, go out to a graveyard and steal someone's left femur bone, he like teaches you how to like do the magic, but like today, so that way you don't go to prison.
Substitutions. Yeah.
Yeah. And he teaches. Oh, he teaches that. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. He also teaches about how substitutions are traditional, which is interesting. He talks about how like folk, like cunning folk and etc. would have like substituted words. They would have changed prayers that to fit the situation that they were in. It wouldn't have all just been like the same like thing over and over, which I thought was so fascinating, and kind of like I felt dumb not to like think about that, but it was really cool because it like really opened up my practice a lot
Also
just hearing that.
validating. It's validating
Yeah.
because I've always been called to have a substitution, because you're like reading this spell in whatever book it is. It could be an ancient fucking grimoire, or it could be a spell that someone made yesterday, and you're looking and you're like, well, I don't have that thing. Like I don't have it.
Yeah,
You're
where the
not
fuck
gonna
am I gonna get a
have
lion pelt belt?
right, or
Right.
like or even a simple herb that you just simply don't have at that exact moment in time. Like I have no paprika, or like I have no red pepper flakes. There are none to be found, and I have to do this thing now. So it's like, what else can I use? Like, well, I have hot sauce in the fridge. Okay, well maybe let's do that instead. So like whatever it is you're trying to
Hot
do.
sauce is great for magic. Please use
Hot sauce witchcraft. We love it.
it.
The title of this episode: Hot Sauce Witchcraft.
Hot sauce. Just one line
That'd
at
be
the end
so
at the end of the
misleading.
episode.
It's like a fucking throwaway line in the last
Right.
5 minutes of the episode.
I do that sometimes. I'm such an asshole sometimes when I title these episodes. Like we say something toward the
The big
end, and I'm
troll.
like, "Oh, that's so cool," and I'm like, "Put it as the title." I'm like, and you have to listen to the end to get the joke. But that's why the people are
I
here,
love
because we
that.
love it. Actually, I can say
So-
from Secret Space, we did have a direct uptick in people checking out the podcast, because we had about like 313 subscribers going into the weekend, and I think we exited with about like 326. So we gained some
Cool.
people. So hello to the new followers.
We could also look into getting stickers with like our logo and a QR code printed out, and like sending them to people as like promotion packages so they can slap them up around their area.
You either
I'd love
were
to do
in my
that.
brain, or you implanted that in my brain, or we had a
Maybe it's
meeting
both.
astral
Maybe it's both.
that-
And
yeah.
and maybe you were like implanting it in my brain a little bit so that I can say it too at the right time,
Yeah, because I was thinking that too. I was like, we have a pretty good core group of followers, and honestly, the way I want to grow this podcast and the way I want to grow my business is I don't want to pay Meta money for advertising. I don't want to pay
No,
any
fuck
of these
that.
motherfuckers for advertising. I don't want that. And I
We
only
need
want to
Flashes
attract.
come out for Android yesterday.
What happened?
Flashes, the Blue Sky Instagram.
Oh.
They have it for iPhone, but they don't have it yet for Android, and I'm like, Please hurry up.
Yeah, like I'm
Mm.
just overpaying. Like I don't want to pay for advertising. I haven't done it yet, and I don't want to start now. So I pay enough for hosting and shit like that. So um
So
I want to give like you know swag packs, you know, stuff like that. I also get every month like I can
damn,
order
you are reading my
discounted.
fucking mind.
Yeah, like I want to send like swag packs to our listeners. Like here's a bunch of fucking stickers, slap them everywhere cuz I only want to attract cool people. I don't want
Yeah.
fucking not cool people here. And you know who you are.
Yeah, you're reading my fucking mind right now too, dude. Yeah, it's going both
Yeah.
ways for sure. Because I was literally gonna say, and like have whoever like comes into the Discord and shouts out saying like, "Yo, send me a swag pack." You can get like
Yeah.
added to the list, and we should also like send guaranteed swag packs to anybody who's subscribed to the Patreon or whatever
That's
it
what I
is,
was thinking.
the
Yeah,
coffee.
like exactly. Like everyone gets like a swag pack or something like that. So,
Maybe for like the highest tier, we could introduce one where maybe not the highest tier, but like get shirts for people, you know?
yes, so that was
Because
my
like
other thing
that shit
too.
rules.
So I am able to order. So I have a print on demand thing built into the website for our merch. Um, and I do have a way to get people. Like every month I can order like 3 pieces of merch at a discounted rate. So I can send people, you know, like a T-shirt or a mug or like whatever the thing is, um, you know, as like a thank you for being awesome and
Hmm.
giving out swag. And also now you
Also,
are the swag. Haha, you get to be the walking advertisement.
here's my other idea before I gotta bounce. I think it'd be cool if we did our own like classes and seminars on the Discord, similar to like Sacred Space and what you were talking about. Because like I'm sure each of us could do a dissertation on a specific type of subject. You know what I mean? And having that in a digital space works really well for us because we already have that set up, and it's tough for us all to meet in the physical. But also that could even be something that y'all like provide at Philly Pagan Pride sometimes too. Like who fucking knows? Maybe this just opens opportunities for people to meet in real life space more often and have these cool exchanges. Because like fuck, I know I'd love to listen to Scott rant about like folk magic for like a couple hours, and Jay, I know that you know a lot about like witchcraft jewelry and like community organizing and
You
like
know what's
specific
funny?
stuff around like coven work and running a coven.
My magic is really centered around items, objects,
Hmm.
curios. I'm very into the magic of things. Um,
Artificer.
trinkets. Yeah, that is kind
Hmm.
of me. I never really put that together. But I do like
That's
that
kind of
stuff.
what I gleamed
But
off, yeah.
yes,
But yeah.
I want to. This is where I want my focus to shift is doing more of these things. I want to get away from Facebook and Meta and all of their platforms. I don't mind Blue Sky, it's fine. I'm not an external person anymore when it comes to social media. I would rather attract in to the community I've built as opposed to me being like, come here, come to my place, listen to the things I'm saying. It's more like I would rather utilize the community that I have, send you guys swag packs and stickers, and I'd rather you talk to someone face to face in your local and be like, "Hey, you should check out this podcast. You should check out this community." Like I would rather it grow that way than click an ad or something like that because I just don't want to give
Huh.
these fuckers any more money. That's
We
really what
did
I
get 2 new Instagram followers today.
Awesome.
And with that, I'm going to say peace, y'all. I got a
Yep.
dip. It's
Love
psionics
you.
class time.
Mhm.
Yeah, love y'all too. It's great like always, and I hope to see you next week.
Yep.
See
See you
you.
later.
Bye.
Bye. But yeah, I don't think we're almost up on 2 hours. I don't think we have much more to say,
No.
Scott and I.
Um.
Other
No,
than
absolutely
Sacred
not. I
Space was
do.
awesome, and I guess I'll just say this: like, I understand it's always going to be cost prohibitive, right? Like, not everyone is going to be able to be in a position to afford go to a hotel for a couple days and afford like the registration and stuff. Um, I hope I can afford to do it again next year because it was a really good experience, but That's why I always advocate for community, because you can recreate these experiences on smaller scales. Host a
Yep.
workshop on your front porch. If you
Yep.
if you have that, or just in a park across the street. So
Or
that's
even
what
if
I
like
always advocate
you
for.
can also like do it at like a hall. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can rent a hall. You could probably
Mm-hmm.
do it there too. You could even do like a little potlucky situation or something,
Yep.
you
You
know?
just charge a little bit just to cover the cost for hall rental. It may
Mhm.
be $5-10 a head, but most people are fine with $5 or $10. That doesn't
Yep.
really. It's not usually a deal breaker for most folks. Or have like a sliding scale situation. When I was with the Inner Path, we always just had a box for donations. Just whatever you could pop in was appreciated.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I always advocate for. It doesn't always have to be a big thing. It can just be a really small thing, but it can grow into other things. So, but you have to start with one. You have to start with something.
And
Um,
speaking of that,
hmm,
I'm so sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
no,
I was gonna say, I want to congratulate the 5 million Americans that turned out yesterday,
yes,
or for the
hands
nationwide
off.
protest. You did a fantastic job. I was a little late. I did go. I didn't even know it was happening until really late, but I was there for like the last 30 minutes of the Philly protest. But I was there with a sign and everything. I'm like really proud of everyone. 5 million people is
and
crazy.
I and I hope the movements keep growing. Like I really do. Like I hope we effectively shut down certain cities for a couple hours, because there's just so many people um in motion at once. I really hope that
Mhm.
that happens, because and I want it to continue to be nonviolent. That's really where I'm at. Um I really hope it doesn't escalate into anything further than that. I really just want millions of Americans to be like, "No, we're fucking done with you. You're out."
Yeah, I that's what I want. I want the bodies on the ground doing like the work, the boots on the ground,
Mhm.
excuse me, doing the work.
Yeah.
I want that to be intimidating enough. I want them to realize, you know, we will this will be the extent of it if you let it be. You know what
Like,
I
this
mean?
will
Like,
happen. This will continue to happen until you you know.
right, until you obey essentially, right?
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to congratulate people for turning out like that yesterday, and also our friends in Portugal, Lisbon, and London. Thank you if any of you listen. I'm not sure, but thank you if you hear this. That means a lot to us. This is hell.
Yes. Yes. So I just wanted to thank everyone in the chat. So we had Kai, Ashka, Sage, Rat was in the chat, and Dawn. So we had quite a little crowd here today. So thank you everyone for coming and hanging out with us. Um, I did want to give a quick shout out to Tink, who is our Hail Satan tier subscriber on Ko-fi, which you
Yeah,
can go over there and support us over there. For $6.66 a month, Tink always wants us to remember the people of Palestine. Um, yeah, remember the people of Palestine. Keep them in your magic and in your thoughts. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and I don't want it to be overshadowed by other things. There's a lot of really critical, important things happening right now, and here's the one thing that Tink wants you to remember: is the people of Palestine. So pre-Palestine.
free Palestine and end war because war is fucking stupid.
Garbage. Or is garbage. All right, everyone. We're gonna head out of here, and we
Bye.